So I wanted to talk to you about getting hurt.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I don't know what you've shared, but I'm fascinated by what that day or that moment was like for you. And the reason why that's fascinating is because you won't maybe love to hear this, but you're so important to the machine, right? This big thing that's moving down the road, the race team, the whole thing, the whole Chase Elliott ecosystem, right? You're the nucleus of that, right? And so when something happens to you, right, it sort of disrupts all these things, right? And so I've been in that same situation where, either you want to get off the train for a minute or you just want to stop, and everybody's like, well, we can't stop, Yeah. But when you get hurt, you don't get a choice. It's stopping. And so that might not even cross your mind that day, because, when you get hurt, you're like, imagine you're thinking, well, how bad am I hurt? Let's figure this out. So you're snowboarding, right, in Colorado?
Yep.
This is I'm just going to assume, having talked to you for years, you and your family enjoy that area in the country. You go there often. It's something you're absolutely comfortable with. How long have you been snowboarding?
As long as you remember. As long as I can remember.
Right. Your dad, same thing, right?
Yep.
I've seen some. You shared with me a picture of the backwoods in Colorado, and you're not snowboarding in. You're snowboarding in like real freaking snow in the mountains, right?
Yeah.
This ain't like drive. No, I'm just saying, like, when you say, man, I'm going snowboarding, I'm like, all right, he's going to go up Sugar Mountain and there'll be hundreds of people coming down the hill and he's right in the middle of it. No, you're like going out in the woods, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go, you need to go do it right.
All right, so you're not like at the resort.
I was at the resort.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Okay, so there are people around?
Yeah, there's people around.
Right?
I mean, there are places you can go at the resort, and
it's not like in the commercials where you're like bouncing through this perfectly untouched snow.
No.
Out the back of the.
Now it could be.
Yeah.
It could be if you caught a storm ride or something. But
yeah.
No, I mean, it was nothing. It was nothing outside the norm.
Traditional. So there's people around.
Yeah.
And you're going down the hill.
Yep.
What happened?
I fell and broke my knee.
So
tore my leg
how did you
up.
fall?
There was basically just if you've ever gone skiing, I assume you've been skiing a bunch, but sometimes you'll have, a trail will be going a certain way and people will have been kind of sidestepping a trail. And as they do that, going perpendicular to the way the trail typically goes, it flattens out a section that they were going on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like they're packing the snow down and it's perpendicular to the way the trail's going, and then because they were packing it down and then you have the angle of the hill, that section becomes more flat than the way the rest of it was going. So basically the light was kind of flat that day, and I just didn't see this part of the trail that it had been packed down going the other direction. That would be important for you to see. Well, yeah, like if you had seen something like that, you would know it was coming. And what would that? So help me understand. Someone who's never snowboarded. I've not skied a ton. I just started in like the last 5 years skiing a little bit, right? So, if I'm coming up on that, what am I supposed to think? Well, if you're coming up on that, yeah, you would want to just like if you jumped off this table, you're fixing to hit the ground, so you would bend your knees and like absorb the bump in the road, right? Okay. So I had my knee basically locked straight, so when I rolled over this, it just basically sent the shock up my leg, and that part of my knee where those bones come together just took a shock that it couldn't. So that happened before you fell. That was the fall. I mean, that was what hurt. But the fall didn't hurt you. It was the imperfection in the road. Yes. Right? I mean, it was normal. I mean, right. There wasn't nothing wrong with the road. I mean, that's just the way it was. Okay. I just didn't see it good. Yeah. Damn. And so when you fell down, were you immediately aware that there was
a problem?
Oh yeah.
How bad did it hurt?
It hurt pretty bad. I knew that. I mean, like right when it happened, I felt kind of something in my knee go wrong, and
is it like like pins and needles kind of thing? A dull pain, sharp pain?
It was more of a sharp pain, I guess, at first, and then I knew it was messed up because I got like sick to my stomach.
Oh wow.
Type thing,
Really?
So, oh yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a rough morning, no doubt.
So like seconds after it's happening, you're like starting to. Was the nausea because you were aware that something serious had happened, and now you're like thinking about
not catching my flight to Vegas in an hour?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you were supposed to get on the plane to go out.
Last
moments later. That last
run of the day.
Horse.
I swear. Yeah.
God Almighty.
Yeah. That's the way it always goes.
It does.
One more. Let's just do one more.
Wesley Sherrill.
That's what it was.
I'm at Nashville Fairgrounds running around, hauling ass. My car is freaking perfect. Running a late model stock race. Practice. He said, "Come on, man. You're good. Killing them. Half second. One more lap." And then 20 minutes later, the car was burnt to the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's about how I felt. I was getting drugged down the hill in the back of a sled.
You're getting ahead of me. So
you want the whole story?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, this is good podcasting. So you're sitting there. Are people are sliding? Anybody come up and say, "Hey, man, you okay?" Anybody?
So I had a buddy with me.
Oh, okay.
That lives out there, and we were just I was leaving to go to Vegas like around a little after lunch or something. This was on whatever day. It was during the West Coast swing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had stayed out west that week, which is common. A lot of people stay out, out that direction, and so it made sense. So we were out there and kind of had that Friday morning off, and then we were going to travel. So met up with him. We were going to go make a few runs, and then I was going to grab lunch and head to Vegas.
Yep.
And so we've been riding all morning. We were probably the first tracks up. We've been riding for 3 or 4 hours, at that point. And it had snowed, I guess, a little bit a couple days before, so snow was really, really nice. So we're like, we were just like, let's make one more, one more run. That was a good run. Let's go do it one more time, and then busted.
So he stopped you. He stopped.
So he was with me.
Yeah.
And he was ahead of me slightly, and so he kind of got down to the bottom of the hill there,
mm-hmm.
We were almost to the bottom, and of this little section, and he turned around and saw I was laying on the ground, and so he kind of hollers at me. And I was like, I was like, I think I'm hurt. I don't really know, but I think I messed my knee up. I did something. I guess you can't break your knee. I guess I technically broke my leg, but it was, centered around my knee. So anyways, he takes his board off and kind of hikes up to me a little ways, which was, I don't know, probably 50 yards, which kind of sucks, right? When you're in the snow.
That's hard.
Trying to hike uphill. So I felt bad about that. But he got up there to kind of check on me, and I was like, man, I think I messed my knee up. And he kind of helped me get my board unstrapped. And I was like, well, let me try to stand up, and see if I can ride out, see if I can get to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to stand up, and I couldn't stand up. And then at that point, my knee was it just wasn't, my kneecap was not supported.
Yeah.
And I just didn't really have it. It just felt everything felt really free and
messed
jacked up.
Jeez.
So I was like, I don't think I'm riding out of here. We're going to have to call the sled to come.
How's the pain at this point?
The pain was not terrible at this point. I guess just the adrenaline of everything. I didn't feel good. Like I say, I was kind of sick to my kind of nauseous and sick to my stomach. And then now I'm thinking,
big trouble.
Oh shoot, I'm screwed.
So they bring the thing up there and put you in air cast, or? Yeah,
so they brought the thing down.
A little 4-wheeler with a sled with a.
No, it was
thing on the back. Are they bigger?
No, it was what do they call those things? Toboggan.
Toboggan.
Yeah, is what they call them.
It's got a little thing on the back for you.
Yeah, so it was just two guys, medic guys, and they come skiing up, and he's listen, I've watched these guys carry people down the hill for years.
Yeah, that made me think about not going back up
and now I'm that jackass that they're taking down in it, so I'm like, well, I guess this is what I get, for I never made fun of anybody in that position, but you're just always like, man, I don't want to be that guy.
Yes.
And here I am, I'm that guy that day. So he shows up, he's got his he is driving the sled. There's a skier in front that's driving it, and then there's a guy in the back that has a rope holding it in case he went down or something. You don't go sliding off to I-70.
Yeah.
So so they get there, and those guys see those injuries every day, right? And it was, the guy basically called. He's like, "Oh, I think you fractured your tibia plateau," and basically told me my injury before I even got to the hospital. So they got me strapped down, and I would say the worst part of the whole bit was an injury like that. Your knee is not supported properly, so they had to kind of get some like pillows and some stuff in there to help prop your knee up, so that when they strap me down and going across the bumps, your knee's not moving. Well, the first time we got going, that something that they had put up underneath my leg kind of slid out from underneath it, so they started going along and my leg started moving. That was probably the worst of the whole bit. So I was yelling at him like, stop, we got to fix this like right now,
not another inch.
We cannot go any further. This is really bad, or at least it was to me. Maybe I'm I don't know, a child, but it hurt to me. So I was like, all right, we got to fix this. So we stopped and got it sorted out, and then they dragged me to the bottom of the hill and kind of went to the doctor's office, and off we went.
So, I guess how quickly were you able to? What was your thought process on like how do I notify the right people here? What was who was helping you with that?
Well, before I even got scooped up there, I called Dad because he was out there with me.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, well, he wasn't skiing with me, but he was in Colorado that day, and I was meeting him at the airport. We were going to fly to Vegas, and I was like, hey, I called him, and he didn't answer, and he called me back while I was still laying on the ground, for these 5 minutes, and I was like,
you were on the hill still?
Yeah, I was laying there, and I was trying to figure out. It was after I got up, and I realized I couldn't walk, so I was like, all right,
you called him.
I gotta get a game plan together of what I'm doing, because I don't think I'm going to Vegas today.
Yeah. Oh, you're already doing that?
I kind of
before the toboggan ride.
Oh, yeah. Because you got to think, this was noon on Friday.
I know, but I'm just trying to imagine, like, I would have been freaking out just that I was hurt. I would have been so, like, I don't know whether I would have thought about that.
I was thinking about everything.
Yeah.
So I called him, and I was like, hey, I think I hurt my knee, and he's like,
that's what
just like he was, like.
Now were you worried he was going to be mad at you, raising hell at you?
I kind of, yes, but also at the same time, like, I've seen him hurt himself a lot over the years. I feel like I've done pretty good. That was my first big one, in my 28 years. So compared to him, I was like, you ain't got no room to talk. Right. You tripped over a watering hose and broke your kneecap. So.
I flipped my truck when I was 16 or 17, flipped it big on the highway. And Dad used to tell this story about how he flipped his car when he was 18. Just always telling that story. And so I thought, man, I called him. He's going to pull up with a flatbed to get the truck, chew my ass out. But he laughed. He got out just laughing. I was like, phew. Thank God.
Got lucky on that one, yeah. So he was, I think at first he was like, shoot, this isn't good. Right. And then after that, he kind of, I don't know, we're just the kind of people where it's just like, okay, well, this is the reality. Well, what do we got to do to what's next? Mm-hmm. Is kind of where my mind went. I think he was probably right there with me shortly after. So they got me to the bottom of the hill. And then they, helped pull my boots off and get ready to go do an x-ray, all that stuff. And I'm sitting in the x-ray room, and, my buddy was still with me that I was riding with. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, all right, well, who do I call? How am I going to go about this, right? I hadn't got my x-rays back, but I had a pretty good feeling. I couldn't walk. My knee was about this big, already. And I knew probably wasn't going to Vegas. I was going to miss the weekend. I had a pretty good idea that was going to be the case pretty quick. So I texted Alan, and I said, hey, can I call you? We got a problem. Because I knew he's going to be the one facilitating getting somebody else in the car, and he needs to know.
Yeah.
And I was too scared to call Rick at this point. So I called Alan, and I was like, hey, I'm in the ER. I busted my knee up really bad. I don't think I'm going to make it to Vegas, but I'll let you know for sure when I get this x-ray back. But I'd just go ahead and start making plans.
Yep.
So
how did he receive that information?
Really well.
Okay.
Really well. Way better than I was expecting.
Yep.
So I was like, all right, what am I going to do now? How am I going to tell Rick?
Got to tell Rick.
Then I'm late.
You got to tell him quick, too, because
he's going to figure it out.
Information's out.
I got like 5 minutes, to get my shit together and figure out how I'm going to tell him this, and like try to keep it kind of light, but also it's not light.
Not light.
This is bad.
Yeah.
So, so I called him and I was like, hey, man, I'm sorry to tell you this, and I you don't want to hear this, but I'm currently in the ER, out here in Colorado, and I think I messed my knee up really bad. And he was, believe it or not, I was shocked, but took every bit of it just awesome. And he didn't even care about the weekend. He was just worried about, what was the process, how bad was it? When was surgery going to be, if I needed surgery, if he could do anything to help, and how long were we looking? He's like, well, how long, just keep me posted, let me know how bad it is. If I can do anything, let me know. Don't worry about this weekend. We got it. And just get right. And when you're ready to come back, we'll go back racing.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was unbelievable. I was shocked. I was expecting, I don't know.
You're waiting on somebody to get mad at you.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And, but everybody was really understanding of everything. And, I think they also know me well enough to know that I'm not out doing, like, crazy stuff. It was just kind of that perfect storm of the right day with the right situation. And, it is what it is. It happened. It could have happened doing other stuff. And I try to be responsible, when I'm out doing things. And that day was no different. It just didn't work out.